But as the New York Times said today, Christmas gifts are arriving on time this year. Good news, we've saved Christmas.
Around Christmas of 2019, China gifted the world with COVID-19, a virus that brought human civilization to a screeching halt. And as we all remember, a year later, in Christmas 2020, the world was still reeling from the effects. But what some of you may not know is that Christmas of 2021, possibly the first post-COVID holiday season, almost didn't happen at all. But according to some media outlets and politicians, Christmas was saved by the Biden administration and Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. Widespread supply chain bottlenecks have gripped the nation over the past year, partially due to COVID-19 lockdowns in key Asian economies and labor shortages in the United States. Across the country, consumers have been noticing that goods aren't hitting shelves, even causing the hashtag #BareShelvsBiden to trend on Twitter. Beyond day-to-day headaches at your grocery store, these supply chain issues threaten to cancel Christmas. As shipping vessels crowded the coast of Southern California, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg was dead set on solving the problem. Sort of. For several weeks of the supply chain crisis, Buttigieg was accepting paid paternity leave after adopting twins. When confronted by Politico, a spokesperson confirmed that Pete Buttigieg has been ramping up activities since their adoption, but would continue to take some time over the coming weeks to support his husband and take care of his new children. Whether his paid leave had an effect on the crisis or not, Buttigieg has insisted that the throngs of ships off the West Coast are actually a sign of President Biden successfully handling the economy.
Every one of those ships is full of record amounts of goods that Americans are buying because demand is up, because income is up.
White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki also didn't seem too worried about the supply chain issues, even cracking jokes about the tragedy of the treadmill that's delayed during a press briefing.
And people couldn't get dishwashers and furniture and treadmills delivered on time, not to mention all sorts of other things. So why is
The tragedy of the treadmill that's delayed.
Right.
So is Buttigieg the Grinch who stole Christmas? Or was he Santa Claus, bringing gender-neutral toys to all the anti-racist boys and girls? Well, one thing is for sure, Christmas wasn't canceled this year. Holiday retail sales in the United States soared from $718 billion in 2019 and $777 billion in 2020 to a whopping $843 billion in 2021, the highest in history. However, most of that dollar figure increase seems to be attributable to inflation. In other words, the number of gifts didn't increase, they just got more expensive. From December of 2020 to December of 2021, the Consumer Price Index, one measure of inflation, rose from less than 2% all the way to 7%. That's worse than during the financial crisis of 2008 and 2009. So while Americans were definitely willing to pay the higher prices, we have to ask how much the supply chain crisis added to their financial strains. Meanwhile, Buttigieg's policy to keep the Port of Los Angeles open 24/7 reportedly failed to make a dent in the bottlenecks. Why? Because truckers and warehouses, which are having a tough time hiring new workers, aren't able to operate in the middle of the night. In any case, during Buttigieg's recent visit to California's ports, Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti lauded Buttigieg and his boss for saving Christmas.
Our president and this entire administration deserves credit for saving Christmas. This is a man who saved Christmas.
Jen Psaki also praised the commander-in-chief, taking a victory lap around Scrooge, the Grinch, and all of the doubters.
But as the New York Times said today, Christmas gifts are arriving on time this year. Good news, we've saved Christmas.
But the question still remains, who really did save Christmas? The answer could be one that progressives probably won't like: capitalism. Ahead of the holidays, big box stores anticipated the worker shortages they would face and preemptively staffed up. Target set a goal of hiring 100,000 new people, offering $2 more per hour to store staff, and more importantly, $2 per hour bonuses to logistics workers. Walmart, which has been able to bypass supply chain bottlenecks by chartering its own container ships, pushed to hire 150,000 additional workers ahead of the holidays. But the crisis still hasn't been averted. Although Christmas might have been saved, store shelves are still empty. And it's not just the kind of items you would expect to buy as gifts. There are major problems with getting enough food to stores. Broadly speaking, grocery stores currently have an unavailability rate around 15%, far higher than the typical 5 to 10% level. For example, chicken tenders, a staple of young Americans' diets, are getting harder to find. Meanwhile, a global shortage of potatoes is affecting products like French fries and chips. A cream cheese shortage is leading multiple bagel shops across New York City to take extreme measures to get their hands on as much of the product as they possibly can. While Christmas is over and the decorations are packed away until later this year, the supply chain crisis is here to stay. Let's just hope that the likes of Pete Buttigieg and Bare Shelves Biden with his Washington elves get it together for Christmas of 2022.